Hello, everyone. This is Jerome Waddle, and today's presentation is about Vincent van Gogh and his spiritual connection to St. Augustine. Interest in Vincent van Gogh has soared recently in the latest Van Gogh Immersive exhibitions with projected images and sound, and an immersive experience through virtual reality headsets. There's also a regular museum exhibit at the Detroit Fine Arts Center. In researching further, I found that Vincent had written over 800 letters throughout his life, and that they are preserved and translated on this site. Jan Oskar, for decades an authority on Van Gogh's correspondence, unreservedly placed the letters on the level of world literature. Vincent was able to express himself splendidly, and it is this remarkable writing talent that has secured the letters their lasting place in world literature. Vincent's early letters contain many religious quotes from the Bible and religious writers, as Vincent was training to be a religious teacher. I learned that Vincent came from a line of religious ministers from his great-grandfather, and that his father was a Protestant Dutch Reformed Church minister. Here's a painting Vincent did of his father's church. And here's a painting he did of the vicarage where he lived with his siblings. The atmosphere in the Van Gogh home was often strained. Vincent was quick to take offense at his father's remarks. He had the feeling his family consisted mainly of people who keep up a position, he wrote. He didn't fit in as a peasant painter who doesn't think about it. His mother was an amateur artist and encouraged him to paint. However, she was very critical about his paintings and destroyed many of them. Vincent's father died in 1885. He painted still life with Waddle. He painted it just after his father's death. He placed his own copy of Émile Zola's La Joie de Vivre next to it. The book was a kind of Bible for modern life. The books symbolized the different worldviews of Van Gogh and his father. For Van Gogh, the Bible represented everything he saw in his father: bland devotion to religion and faith, forever trapped in an antiquated mindset. The Bible is open to Isaiah 53, which describes a servant of God as a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. This servant individual is often perceived as a Christ-like figure, and Van Gogh, despite his ambivalent feelings about religion, did have respect for the ideals of Jesus Christ. One could also interpret the outcast figure as how Van Gogh perceived himself, particularly in the eyes of his parents. In front of the Bible is Vincent's copy of The Joy of Life. Van Gogh was a great admirer of Zola's literary works and would write to his sister, Wilhelmina, "On the contrary, if one wants truth, life as it is, Zola in La Joie de Vivre and so many other masterpieces paint life as we feel it ourselves, and thus satisfy that need which we have, that people tell us the truth." In Zola's book, it can be argued that Van Gogh was depicting the antithesis of his father's Bible, a fresh and modern way of perceiving the world realistically rather than the Bible, which Van Gogh felt caused despair and indignation. To Van Gogh, the Bible was looking backward, while modern works by Zola and other writers he admired look forward in inventive, new ways. Another symbolic inclusion in this painting is the candlestick with the extinguished candle. This is generally perceived to represent Van Gogh's father, who had died several months earlier. To Van Gogh, the candle's flame was snuffed out and would no longer illuminate the Bible, a book he would ascribe to Emile Bernard as feeling no love. I was struck by a portion of a letter he wrote to his mother and brother when he was 23 years old. Although it was taken from Augustine's Confessions, Book 9, Chapter 10, which is Augustine's mystical experience, described as a conversation with his mother about the kingdom of heaven. Vincent, being the great writer that he was, modified the original text, and I felt that he captured the essence of the message more succinctly. So that's what I'm reading. The reading. It happened that we found ourselves alone, my mother and I, at an open window, where we had a view of the garden of the house to which we had betaken ourselves at the harbor of Ostia. There, far from the crowd, we were awaiting the time of the crossing after the fatigue of a long journey. We were alone, conversing with inexpressible pleasure and forgetting the past and dwelling completely on the future. We talked about what that eternal life of the saints would be like, which no eye hath seen, nor had heard, nor any heart conceived. And, transported on the wings of love to him who is, we wandered in spirit to those heavenly spheres whence the stars, the moon, and the sun send us their light. And rising every higher in our thoughts and our words, in the admiration of thy works, O Lord, it was as though we left our bodies in order to attain uncreated wisdom, which is what it was, what it will ever be, or rather, in which there is no having been, or what must still be, but only being, because it is eternal, because having been and what must still be exclude eternity. And as we were speaking this in the flight of our thoughts toward that life, we touched it for an instant in spirit, and we groaned and allowed it to be caught in the first fruits of the Spirit, and descended again to the sound of voices, to words that begin and end. Thus we spoke. If there is a soul in which the voice of the flesh falls silent, which imposes silence on itself, and forgetting itself, oversteps its innermost bounds, if the last voice is lost in silence, after our soul has raised itself to the origin of all things, and he alone speaks, not through his creatures, but through himself. If he speaks to us, he alone, whom we hold dear above all else, if he speaks to us while everything drains out of us, and while all beholding of a lower order stops, holding the viewer enthralled, enraptured in his quiet joy and carrying him away, if eternal life is ultimately the same as his brief bliss that makes us go on groaning, is that not the promise held by the words, "Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord"? Such were our thoughts as we spoke. Vincent also included a quote from the Bible, Matthew 18:20, For where two or three are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them. 12 years later, Vincent painted The Starry Night over the Rhone. He described in a letter, "Once I went for a walk along the deserted shore at night. It was not cheerful. It was not sad. It was beautiful. It does me good to do something difficult, but in no way changes the fact that I have an immense need for, should I use the word, religion. And then I go out at night into the open and paint the stars, and I always dream of such a picture with a group of lively, friendly figures." Many of Vincent's comments reminded me that C.G. Jung had a similar conflict with his father, who was a minister. And Jung said that humans have a religious function, that is, the innate capacity of the human psyche to have religious experience and to produce religious imagery. To Jung, religion, or a religious attitude, was a means for examining the deeper mysteries of life and offered a vision of wholeness and healing amidst challenging and difficult times. Thanks for listening, and I invite you to check out the Van Gogh letters. The link is in the description.